Okay, so I really wanted to try to show my controller sticks at the same time as the screen, but unfortunately I'm just not very good at flying and I can't see from this angle and concentrate. So this video is going to be the worst performance experience that I will have. However, you can actually see my sticks in operation whilst looking at the screen. So I'll go ahead and make this early demonstration just in case anybody would like to see the sticks in action and what it might look like using the 4 joystick controller to fly the space game. It does take some coordination, and with coordination, especially when you don't have much experience and you try to do other things at the same time, your coordination is reduced. So of course I've been able to fly the course a little better than this, but not while doing other things, and I haven't been doing it for long enough to gain that skill. I also can't see from this angle. So as you can see, my course in this case has a floor, and the object of this course is to practice rolling so that the ground is always below you, which does affect your coordination. And initially my courses were in the open with no ground, so when I started practicing rolling, I would just roll to a square, and I would roll the wrong direction a lot of the times and then once I started rolling the wrong direction, I would just be like, well, that's okay, I'll just roll that way to the square. But with the ground, your roll is a lot more specific, because you have to be trying to put the ground underneath you instead of just finding the square shape. So at the end of the video, I'll show the VJoy feeder that this uses, and special thanks to all of the open source developers who made this joystick game controller possible for me. So in particular, this VJoy feeder was written by somebody named Claire-K. He also wrote the Arduino sketch that I'm using here. So for me to make this controller, and for anyone else who would like to make a similar controller, it was as simple as plugging the wires in and changing a couple of numbers to match the controller configuration in the Arduino sketch. And then of course you have to set up the VJoy feeder. So okay, so then I'll tell you that my configuration, I really like my configuration right now. So I don't mean the 2 joysticks for the trigger fingers, but I do mean which stick is controlling each thing. So I'm gonna back out away from the course for a second, and maybe you can see that on my left trigger finger, the stick does move laterally, but I don't use it for anything. But if I pull it back, that's throttle forward, and if I push it up, that's throttle back. And interestingly, if I hold the controller this way so that I'm looking down at it, then it does match the directions of travel, even though I'm pulling it back to go forward. If I look down at it, I'm actually pushing in the direction of travel. So I think that besides the fact that pulling the trigger is a lot more natural, and since you rarely go backwards, you really want to be more comfortable pulling the trigger for the more frequent use than pushing back on the trigger. I do think that it's also easier for your mind to learn. So, and then on the other trigger stick, I have my roll, and then that's just in the direction of roll. Nothing is inverted on my controller. My thumb controls the pitch and yaw, so up points the screen up and down points the screen down. It's not inverted like aircraft controls, but because I play so many video games, like first-person shooters on the controller, I find it much easier just to up is up and down is down. I don't know if you were sitting in such a vehicle, which one would actually feel more logical. And then my left thumbstick, it controls the strafe, the lateral travel, and then also up and down motion. So no rotation on the left stick, and all rotation is on the right side. So my whole left side works out to be vector changes. So forward, back, left, right, up, and down. And my whole right side works out to be rotation with rolling left, rolling right, and then turning, yawing, but turning left and right, and then up and down. So I'll just try to fly a little bit more, even though I can hardly see at this angle. And because I'm just not very good, I've only had this controller for a couple of days. It's going to be really clumsy and really hard for me to fly around. And then I'm going to show the VJoy feeder by pressing the Windows key. So you can see I've got to roll so that the ground is underneath of me. And so this game, while I'm doing this, is called Starmade. And some people have talked about this game, Space Engineers, and I looked at it, but Starmade, if you can see, is very literally just a simple engine with blocks. I mean, it doesn't have much complexity to the different physical machines in the game. So there is some game mechanics for crafting and for building. So you can make a ship that has laser beams, and then just a little bit more like Minecraft than a space game. There's a crafting table, but it's not a crafting table. It's called a factory. But anyways, it basically, it works the same. I mean, you put the ingredients that you mine from asteroids and planets, and you get the item. It's not a complex machinery. So I really like the simplicity of the game because it makes it really easy to just go and do something like this, where you're not particularly trying to simulate a space lifestyle. You're just trying to simulate having a ship that goes around and can fly through these hoops, which are very easy to construct because it's just blocks, and you can place blocks any way you like, and it's just like Minecraft. So I can place these big flat platforms and put hoops on them. Alright, so now I'll just go ahead and show you some of the game mechanics, like this one right here, which is the jump gate. So I go through that gate and I jump to the neighboring station, which is my original station. And you can see that I've got hoop courses around with no ground. And so these courses are what I made first, and they don't particularly have any orientation up or down. So that can be fun, but sometimes you want to have a little special practice towards the roll. So if I hold shift, I'll come to a stop. If I press R, I'll climb out of the ship. And then you can see that I can basically walk around. And then if I hit the Windows key, you can see the VJoy feeder. And this is actually what's driving the controller. So there's an Arduino sketch for the Arduino Micro, and the Arduino sends an iBus protocol, which is the same protocol for RC controllers that we use for drones or cars. In this case, it's the FlySky controller. And the sketch this feeder can take S-Bus or iBus or a variety of other serial feeds, and then it can produce the joystick values in a serial data line that a video game can understand. So I've got my different joysticks. So these do work, this left or the up and down on the roll side and the left and right on the throttle side, but I just don't have anything to put on there yet, and I wanted to separate the trigger fingers so that each one only has one task, so that I could more gradually develop my coordination. I guess that video is really long right now, so hopefully I managed to make an adequate demonstration of my game controller in action and show some of the stick motions and show how I'm using it and show the game Starmade, which is really good. The Starmade demo is free, and it's a very sandbox game where there's a lot of things that you can do, but you don't have to do them in order to achieve your goal. which might be flying through these hoops. There was a very low learning curve to achieving what I was hoping to get out of the game. So I don't want to play the game for all of its purposes. I just wanted to do that, and I didn't have to learn a complicated game to make that happen. And so that's why StarMade is so great. Is whatever it is that you imagine you might want to have out of a space Minecraft, you can do it without learning all the rest of the parts of the game. You can just focus on the one thing and achieve it. So StarMade, I really think it's my favorite game out of all of the voxel-based games for space that I've seen. Just for having something like this, you can't really even use the other games. You have to play StarMade. It's probably the best sandbox block game that there is for just if you want to play with blocks in space. If you want to have realistic engines and realistic, make oxygen and stuff like that, maybe another game is for you. But for just putting blocks and driving sticks, you can't beat it.